Hey everyone, and welcome. Today, we're diving deep and going under the hood of a tool that's really shaking things up for developers, the Claude Code CLI. We're going to break down its core architecture and then get into the advanced stuff that takes it from just a handy tool to an absolute productivity powerhouse. So, let's get right into it.
So here's the game plan. First up, we'll get inside the core engine, what makes it all tick. Then we'll look at how you can give it new superpowers using plugins. After that, we'll talk about the important stuff, managing usage and privacy. And finally, we'll wrap up with some pro tips to help you really become a power user.
All right, let's jump right into the heart of it all, the core engine. You can think of this as the central nervous system of Claude Code. It's what powers every single command, every interaction, and every line of code that gets generated.
Now, the main component here is the query engine. This thing is the real workhorse. It's in charge of all the communication with the large language model, and I mean all of it. It's handling the streaming responses as they come in, managing those tricky tool use loops. It's got retry logic built in for when things go wrong, and it even keeps count of all your tokens. It's basically the operational brain of the entire CLI.
So how does the query engine actually get stuff done on your machine? Well, it uses this set of built-in tools. See, it's not just off in the cloud somewhere. It's right there in your local environment. It can run shell commands using the bash tool, it can read and write files, and with the agent tool, it can even spawn sub-agents to tackle more complex tasks. This is how Claude can directly interact with and, actually change your code base.
And how do we, as developers, talk to this powerful engine? It's all through the command system. Those simple slash commands you're typing, like /test or /commit, those are your entry points. And they're all managed in one central place, commands.ts, which figures out what you want and passes that instruction down to the engine.
Okay, so the core engine is powerful, for sure. But where it really gets interesting is when you start to customize it. So let's move on to our next section, extending Claude Code with plugins. This is how you give it brand new superpowers that are perfectly tailored to what you need to do.
Loading a plugin is a pretty straightforward three-step process. First, Claude Code checks the plugin's manifest file, that plugin JSON, to make sure everything looks good. Then it detects all the new goodies inside, like new slash commands or skills. And finally, it activates them, making them live and ready for you to use.
Now, this is the crucial part, so listen up. After you install a new plugin or update one, it doesn't just start working automatically. You have to tell Claude to go look for the changes. And you do that with this one simple command, /reload plugins. That's your magic wand for making those new superpowers actually show up in your session. Seriously, don't forget that one.
Of course, with all this power, you gotta have some responsibility, right? Both in terms of managing your API costs and protecting your privacy. And that brings us to our third section, the guardrails that keep this powerful tool both practical and secure.
So, Claude Code gives you control over your privacy with two main settings. By default, everything's enabled, including telemetry, which actually helps the developers make the tool better. But if you're in a more sensitive environment, you can flip the switch to essential traffic only. That shuts down all the non-essential analytics and network calls for enhanced privacy. Now, these guardrails aren't just about privacy. Because this is an API-driven tool, we have to talk about rate limits. Look, these aren't there to annoy you. They're pretty standard practice. They just make sure the system stays stable and works for everybody. You'll find them on just about any major platform.
And the good news is, the system helps you keep track of this. It's always monitoring your API quota, so you'll see a clear number, something like 75%. This gives you a really good idea of how close you're getting to the limit, so you can manage your work and not get any nasty surprises.
All right, for this last section, let's get into the really cool stuff. This is for all of you who want to go way beyond the basics and just completely master this tool to squeeze every last drop of productivity out of your day.
Okay, probably one of the biggest game changers is building your own custom skills. Think about all those repetitive workflows you do. Instead of typing out a bunch of complex commands again and again, you just automate them. Imagine a single /commit command that perfectly formats your commit messages every time, or /deploy that kicks off your entire multi-step deployment process. This is all about turning your team's best practices into simple, repeatable commands.
But what about tasks that are just huge, way too big for a single skill? I'm talking about a massive scale refactor or maybe exploring a totally new codebase. For those, Claude Code can orchestrate something called agent swarms. And yeah, this is where it starts to feel a little bit like science fiction.
An agent swarm is actually set up in a really smart way. You interact with what's called the coordinator agent. This is your project manager. It analyzes the problem, maps out a whole strategy, and then it spawns a bunch of task agents. You can just think of them as workers to go out and execute all the different parts of the job in parallel. When they're done, the coordinator gathers all their work and presents the final result to you. It's like having a whole team of developers on standby. This is the big aha moment, because it fundamentally changes your role from being the person doing the work to being the person orchestrating it. You become the strategist.
And that brings us to the end of our deep dive. We looked at the core engine, the plugin system, and these incredible agent swarms. It really all leads to one final question. When you have tools this powerful, when your job shifts from being a coder to an orchestrator, what does the future of building software even look like? What are we going to build next? Thanks for watching.